Alright. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome back to Oceania's 70 World Cup 2025. After quite a long break after the last match that we saw earlier on, now we're back into some more action coming up with some sets of matches, I would say, for the next, well, I guess, 2 or 3 hours after this match in particular. And it's going to be the winners bracket this time. It's going to be Philippines versus New Zealand, one of the few anticipated matches in particular, since one of these big powerhouses to compete with each other. I'm Mifa and I'm be commentating alongside Surf Chew. How's it going?
Hello. What a nice Sunday for more Osimania action. Well, two teams that, while one could argue, these two teams have polar opposite histories on 7K. But from what I remember, New Zealand has had decent 7K players in their roster, and considering they qualified in the upper half of the top 32, they should be able to perform well even at this stage. What's good about staying in the winners bracket for as long as you could is that you're at least assured of playing another weekend. So regardless of what happens to either of these two teams, we'll be seeing them next week, and we might as well enjoy the performance that we'll see from both of these two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel that New Zealand came up to the winners bracket not without a fight, and this is certainly worth noting that New Zealand's scores in particular are particularly very good on some of the picks. So I would expect them to see that kind of strategy applies to this round in particular, especially with harder pools, which New Zealand will have to work even harder than the previous round.
Indeed. Meanwhile, for Team Philippines here, I know that of the top three teams from the round of 32, Team PH it was the one that conceded 1 point against Lithuania last weekend. But as as for those who were watching last weekend, we did notice that one of their players, Oji-san, did have problems on the 1 point that they did lose. But now I'm pretty sure they're gonna be trying
Oh.
to
Ooh.
put their best foot forward.
Yeah, seeing the roles being won by the Philippines, 42 versus 25, like New Zealand, and looking at it, Philippines now protecting just inverse chart. It is there is no question about it. This is what their strength lies in the actual team. They can play walls, they can play inverse, and this is no question.
And now New Zealand protecting Rice 5, going to be relying more towards their Rice accuracy, which they do have. And I think for Team PH here, they need to be careful with the Rice picks, especially if they don't have the proper Rice team together going into this match.
I do feel that New Zealand will have to ban like Hagitsuchi or like the longer three, which in between it's just in between whatever the inverse chart and a little bit on the denser side still. In which yeah, there you go, Kagutsuchi being banned here by New Zealand. This is definitive ban that is. It's particularly well conceived there. I don't think New Zealand will have that much of a chance fighting against Longos against Philippines in particular.
Yeah, Kagutsuchi is a really good ban from them. It's the hardest of the three Olympics in my opinion. No Night, No More Soul is way more straightforward to deal with, really. Even if you're not that strong LN wise, like at least it's still familiar territory. Meanwhile, here for
This will
Team
be
PH,
this will be interesting to see what
Rice
Philippines will
4?
ban here. I do think it could also fading star like Warjack. I'm not too sure if they want to go with that, but there is also a possibility Jungle Assassin will also be banned here. If they do not feel comfortable with more of the technical stuff. or I guess the a little bit more patterning trickery, they could go ban that. Yeah, there you go. Junglist Acid will be banned there by the Philippines. They do not like wacky technical patterns.
This is literally mirroring their, not really mirroring, more like replicating their strategy from last weekend. Protect the inverse, get the technical pick out of the way, and get this match started.
Yeah, if this is I can see this like straight away just picking the inverse chart. I do think that it can they can just flex whenever they can too.
Yeah, it would be a really good opening pick for them. LN2 as well as a good possibility. I mean, good possible first pick, but no, they are going for friendship, which well, I think it's still a good opener for them. I guess this is maybe TPH just gauging New Zealand here, if like how they will be performing on the more rice-based patterns throughout the entire match.
Testing the waters on now a variety of patterns on how New Zealand will fare. It might just be like lower OD than the most of the hybrids that we've seen so far. It's still like you can just technically call this more of a long node OD, since it's pretty it's quite forgiving for what it is, but it's still very hard for a hybrid chart that solely exists because of those long nodes.
Yeah, you kind of have to compensate really for the long node content of the entire chart. Again, in comparison to our friends in the 4K community, you'd actually be seeing lower OD settings in 7K, mostly because while accuracy is still a very important element, the amount of control that you need in the keyboard, you don't really want to make everything too painful. Just painful enough. Just painful enough, I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, well, it's more standardized in 7K, where you do not want to focus too much on releasing on what or whatever. You can just go compensate with just reading in particular, and that's what this is what the 7K is going forward, I feel. Starting off the wrong foot there by Robies, actually, with a drop, yeah.
Yeah, that not exactly the best start, but the lead is still pretty manageable. Like, this is a 2-minute 30-second pick. What you'd expect really from like the average length of a 7K pick here. Dufart, unfortunately, finding their first drop of the chart, and it's a pretty messy one as well, dropping to below 99%. Meanwhile, Sunny and Shadowkun showing some level of consistency, as what you'd expect really for a team of this caliber.
Robin's is still doing fairly well, even that one drop. That drop was fairly clean, and it's still kind of matching Sunny in a way. Like 99.6, even with that drop.
It's a pretty good time for them. Dufart has already recovered to around 99% level, which, as far as I noticed, they are increasing accuracy, but they need to keep up with Shadowkun to get the 2 1v1s really pretty much toe-to-toe here.
Patterns do not really relent that much here.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the patterns are pretty consistent. They're pretty even. Like, there's not much of a difficulty spike throughout the entire thing. And as we were mentioning, that Shadowkun's accuracy dropping to just above 99%. Ooh. That's really. But unfortunately for New Zealand, Robeats dropping their combo. Not much of an accuracy drop, but that is going to be dealing a blow towards their campaign for this start.
There's another 2 drops in succession there from Robies there. There's already 4 drops in total for the New Zealand side. There's 5 there for the other teammate there. And looking like Philippines is doing really strong here, with their respective combos.
Yeah, double full combos here from Sunny and Shadowkun. Never mind.
Only one left.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's my first curse of the tournament. But anyway, Shadowkun, while dropping the combo, I'm pretty sure it's not really gonna matter that much. The lead is pretty much enough for them to win this point, should there be no breakdowns in the final few nodes of this chart.
Yeah, the lead's being cut down after the 20,000 with that one drop from Shadowkun there. It might have been dropped more than just the misses by itself. Like you can clearly see that the accuracy is pretty contested between the Shadowkun and Leopard there. Their ratio is actually much better on the New Zealand side.
Yeah, like pretty much something that Shadowcan has to be concerned about. At least for this round, because accuracy, like we're still in that part of the tournament where accuracy is pretty much important. And speaking of ratio, New Zealand is going for Rice, and this is where we'd expect New Zealand accuracy kick in.
Yeah, this is where they are actually good at. I do feel that this is a strong this is a very strong support in terms of I guess more of a ratio side of things. Accuracy wise, they are definitely leading. It's just the consistency that might actually have to be tested against Philippines, since Arcade is now coming for the Philippines instead of Sani.
And I think this is a pretty interesting team up again for Team PH. You'd usually expect Audrey-san and Arquin to be the Rice team. For those who are just looking, at the roster sheet. Like meanwhile, New Zealand here, Worms coming in for Dufart, and like I remember Worms being a strong Rice player in general.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. But
It's quite
Roby's
a veteran,
unfortunately dropping
quite
the
a
first few moments.
yeah. Roby's starting with the wrong foot yet again. It also happens on like Redshift before as well, but luckily it's just that one drop because the accuracy is very much in favor of New Zealand. Though there's no impactful score drop, but Shadowkun finding quite a bit of a drop there, 98.2 up until the opening.
Worms finding a drop a few moments earlier, but their accuracy is pretty much better than Shadowkun's. Actually, New Zealand with a better accuracy overall lately, as you mentioned. But
yeah, it's just it's more
again,
concerning with
the consistency.
Accuracy doesn't really budge all that much here for the Philippines. I feel Leeds is gonna go back and forth, but New Zealand has taken one more extra mistake there on the road beats there. 99.6 after that drop too, which is not that much of an impact. Arquin does a massive misread on the Jag.
One.
Massive
That's a
misreading
really
on the
massive
Jag.
drop. Super uncharacteristic here for Arquin. If I say so myself, like this is not something you'd expect from this guy who was pretty much Team PH's veteran, other than Cora, and this will definitely help New Zealand right now. And there's only quarter of a chart remaining, and this chart is pretty short. Like if New Zealand has been given an opportunity to score a point that I think they really deserve.
That's a drop
from Worms, but I don't think that's enough. PH has no more time to catch up, I think.
Roby's managing to recover fairly well after those drops earlier on, and yeah, there you go. There's the first point for the New Zealand side. Very, very strong showing in terms of accuracy. Just look at that. Just stick with 200s and what's a much better ratio than everyone else.
And this is what we mentioned. New Zealand's Rice accuracy is going to be coming into play for this match.
It really is just that one major misread by Arcade. You can see 5 100s after those misses earlier on because of the Jacks.
Now
they're going with inverse.
For LN1. Yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure this is like their best, the best reply to New Zealand winning their own protect as well.
This is what really what Philippines are actually. It's a special case of a pick. Let's just say that the inverse wall is just a very different type of chart to play normally.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm pretty interested to see who New Zealand is going to be putting in here. because I believe we all know how good the Philippines is on LNs overall. Sani, well, got the one of the two 909 only 990k scores last year on last week's LN1. Shadowcard, on the other hand, is capable of maintaining combo, like not really accuracy, but more on combo.
It could
So
help. It could
yeah,
help since it's like the difficulty jump between the round of 32 inverse, almost kind of inverse at the very end there, and then this is just straight up. It just puts you back. It just puts you into action with the walls. There's no stop in between.
yeah, it's a pretty big jump, but like big jumps in difficulty in inverse usually favors the team that could actually do inverse in the very first place. Like we've been talking about the phrase "you can" or "you cannot" over the
Yeah,
past few
that
weeks,
is.
even before the World Cup really started, when like some rumors about Alan Inverse kicking in, and then it was like Inverse is like one of those, hey, you can play this or you cannot, nothing in between.
Otogen definitely has its perks on playing these sorts of stuff. Even in the lower rating or difficulty scale, this is still bread and butter for O2 players in particular.
And, yep. And for those who for those who are wondering like what is this O2 Jam that we've been mentioning, and I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure we'll have to repeat considering the
Probably,
disconnect.
yeah. Yeah, there's a disconnect just before the map even starts, so that would be an award in this case.
But anyways, just as a segue before to see what happens in the actually happens in the match. I'm pretty sure this is the
Yeah, there you
abort
go.
kicking in. Anyways,
Yep. It,
we've been mentioning this thing called O2 Jam. There were I'm pretty sure there are people who are wondering what's this mentioning other game whenever we're talking about long notes. In 7K, there's like two circles of thoughts here. Like those who are more on the rise, those who are more familiar with just playing regular notes pretty much. And then here comes the LN people who either have learned long notes here on Osimania, natively here in Osimania, and for those who are, let's just say, around my age or a decade older than me, they would know this thing called O2 Jam from like around 2005, 2006, or even sometime around that. They would know that that game has a ton of long notes, and yeah, there's like
has
this
it really been?
picture where yeah.
Has it really been
Yep.
2 decades after the
Yeah, when you I can't believe I'm actually 30, 28 this year, and I just remember playing O2 Jam like 19 years ago.
Damn. Yeah, I wouldn't like be surprised if it was existed that long time ago. But yeah, it definitely now we're evolved into something like this now in terms of just play. It's really crazy to think about it.
Anyway, so while we're waiting for everything here to settle down, I'm pretty sure we could. This does give us enough time to promote the fact that the Osimania 7K World Cup 2025 team support banners are up on the OC store. If you want to support any of your teams or the teams of your favorite players, you can do so. It'll be profile decoration. Like if you happen to get the banner of the winner of this tournament, you'll have it until the rest of the year, until the next 7K World Cup. The money that goes into those banners will go to the prize pool, as far as I know. And yes, you can stack banners. You can buy a few hundred of them if you want. Not that we exactly promote draining your bank account for it, but if you can, sure.
Yeah, all right. Though this time the swap is not with Koyu from New Zealand. This is actually Roby's joining in. Might be having some little bit of technical issue on the back. Hopefully the restart with the newer I guess the well, not necessarily new. Roby's they play on the hybrid and the Rise earlier on. Hopefully no issues this time.
Yeah, hopefully those get fixed in time. But anyways, Roby's
Yeah.
starting with better accuracy and Shadowcore finding the first drop. But again, this is still pretty early in the chart. We're really going to see the difference
Yeah.
once most of the walls start happening, start
It really
arriving.
start. It really starts to implode when more of the inverse release chart does start to do, and it is just really what it is for inverse type like this. You really can't play, or you just really have to sacrifice everything.
Anyways, for those who are unfamiliar with inverse, it's literally the word inverse is does pretty much explain the patterning here. You're going to be reading the holes in the wall.
Yeah,
I've been
negative
waiting to say that for so
spaces.
long.
Negative spaces in between the nodes that where they are not they do not exist.
Yeah. Anyway, some characteristic missing here coming from Sunny while maintaining still the best accuracy throughout the entire room here. Shadowclone, the only
Yeah.
full combo if I am not mistaken. Team New Zealand here keeping up very well. Like, yeah, sure, we see a few misses coming from their players, but like as we've seen from the previous round, the score gaps between teams that could do LN inverse or not get are usually bigger than this at around this point of the chart already.
Yeah, I mean, this is at this point in time, like even we're reaching the halfway of the score, it's not that much of a difference. I mean, for the winners bracket, anyways, the lower brackets tend to have much higher score difference. But now we finally see the Shadow Clan finally finding the first drop after quite so long with the inverse going, and Sunny even with one drop only, still climbing back up. It's just because of reading proficiency.
There a few more drops really from what is practically like everyone. Like like it's pretty much Shadowcon now with the not anymore, but still though, those
Yeah.
are pretty substantial combos that they've been building up.
Yeah, that was the second drop on Shadow Canary. They have missed earlier on since it's still just this is a massive stranglehold for the Philippines. Just by looking at these scores for most of the inverse ones, this is very scary to see how they will perform on the similar charts going forward.
Yes, I mean there is an element of some people might find like upper level inverses easier because like you're getting
Yeah,
at that point
well,
where you're playing a regular chart pretty much. You're
yeah,
gonna be
huh?
seeing
Like
some
Sani
wacky stuff.
512, 300. That
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
inverse. That this is an inverse, and Robids too. Even still, like it still was better ratio. It was like the reading aspect of it makes it a lot harder for him. It's like 6650s, which is very understandable going keeping with long no balls here.
yeah. That is still a pretty strong score. Again, like I think of all the skill sets featured in this map pool, it is going to be LN inverse that's going to be really low scoring. Like even for the LN teams, like it's going to be relatively low scoring compared to what you'd see in LN2 and LN3. And speaking of a low scoring skill set, you have Rice's equivalent of a low scoring skill set with their speed pick
Yeah.
Shine.
Yeah, not quite delay since it's still running at 255 BPM. It is true to the BPM, not exactly I guess it's just speed, like prominently speed, and speed is definitely when you go to the higher speedier stuff, it can go so long with just timing the patterns or whatever.
So we're seeing Arquin coming in here for Sadi, which is expected. Worms coming in for the part here for New Zealand. Same Rice team as what we saw from the previous Rice pick, which was Rice 5.
It doesn't feel like we're seeing Koryu maybe for New Zealand since having trouble coming back into the tournament server.
Yeah. hopefully these technical issues do get fixed. Would be nice to see. Would be nice to see Koyu also play here.
Oh, okay. We're still staying with the same two players from New Zealand side, or at least for Rice. So
Yeah.
no meaningful swaps than the last Rice pick. So we should be seeing the same four players for this particular skill set, in which speed picks in particular has been kind of low scoring for most, but it's just mainly just timing them properly.
And speaking of timing them properly, one player's accuracy that we have to look at, especially for Team PhD, is Shadowkun. Like
Oh
we
wow,
saw what happened on Rise 5.
that's a long 100% from my roomies.
Yeah, that's forgetting to turn off autoplay for a few moments there for Worms.
Yeah, we're getting to this extreme speedier stuff. Hopefully they should not impose that much of a difficulty for both of these teams, really. I mean, Shadowkun has been kind of struggling a little bit in accuracy, even though with the trade by Rubies, it's still that prominent of accuracy, but now Worms is now tanking on the accuracy side of things.
Yeah, it's kind of a concerning sign here for New Zealand if they're dropping accuracy constantly because they will need that despite everything. I'm pretty sure that Team Philippines will be gunning more towards combo really for the most part here, despite Shadowkun finding a drop here. But it's a pretty slight lead now for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Robeat's good accuracy needs to pick it up a bit more. Worms dropping to just above 99%, and that's a miss.
Yeah, it needs more than just miss there by Perfect to comfortably take it because Shadowkun is tanking more and more accuracy as time goes on. Is the lead just gonna shift to New Zealand if they're gonna drop once more?
Yeah, this is still a pretty manageable lead, but not exactly the best place to drop a combo, I would think. But there's still a particularly tricky stream section coming in, and it's already happening. Worms and Robeats, unfortunately, the full team reset here for New Zealand. It's going to be Team Philippines picking up the pace now. Shadowkun is practically recovery combo-wise. Never mind,
now
but
finally the dropping here. Only Arkwin staying strong with their combos here, and I believe it's going to take the full combo because there's not that much of a pattern difficulty coming forward there, and there you go. There's the full combo there for Philippines. For Arkwin, that's 3-1.
Robeat's better accuracy, just a 200 count, I think, affecting their score pretty much. Worms with a better ratio as well compared to Shadowkun here. And this is kind of the opposite of what happened on Rise 5. Because New Zealand was able to get through Rise 5 just fine, like through combos and all. This one, on the other hand, it's pretty concerning.
Maybe this wasn't really like the best pick that they can go for, I feel, since the other straightforward picks are just the core stream and the core jacks, rating star that is, but it's still combating core jacks or core stream against Philippines might not be in their best interest right now. So it's still understandable, but that's a break point there.
Now they're going for Copy Fox, the hardest pick of the entire pool outside of a tiebreaker. And I think this is a really good pick here for PH. Just go for outright, just outright power pretty much.
Yeah, it's just raw skill in terms of transitioning in and out of every pattern involved, which Philippines have shown that they have restraints on the in far and few between in the terms of patterning. Transitions they do really well at. So this would be a very good pick to start to continue for the hybrid side.
Now we're going to see Oji-san come in for Arkwin.
Yeah, Oji-san, or formerly known as Kura for most of the 70 circles.
Yeah, we know this guy for Kura indeed.
I'm fairly interested to see that the lineup for Philippines is still kind of staying the same except for Mura swapping in.
I think the theory is just to give Shadow really enough experience for this World Cup, I would think. Especially in the early rounds, because later rounds are going to be pretty rough. Should they go the distance? I mean, the pools will start ramping up in difficulty starting next week. And that's also something for New Zealand to take note of, because regardless of what happens, they are going to be playing next weekend as well. Roby is finding the first drop. Still pretty early.
Just that one drop, and the accuracy is still staying far ahead. Not that far ahead, because Kura is actually having higher accuracy in particular.
Roby's just hovering around 99% accuracy. Actually doing enough to keep up with Shadow Kono. I think they are trying to cover for right now. You know, do you still making the full combo?
No!
Is okay.
This is not it, especially with what from what I'm seeing that Roby's releasing their lock fairly early, not much earlier than you would expect. The Shadow could finally finding the first draw on the Philippines side.
And it's going to reduce the lead here for Team PH. And New Zealand, as it stands, like they can combo. This lead is still pretty manageable for them. And I'm pretty sure the drops here for Shadowkun is not going to help Team PH.
Speaking of which, the lead is kind of reduced quite a bit after the consecutive drops by Shadowkun here. Accuracy starts to pick back up for New Zealand, but it definitely needs more than just those drops in particular. A little bit of breather room to pick back up at the last third of it, though. Might need to start picking up their pace for both of these teams to manage the onslaught of the last third. But DFR finally finding the drop after so long, and Roby's falling off.
Yeah, those combo drops are not going to be helping New Zealand at all, especially that Shadowkun has surpassed DFR's accuracy as well. And Oji-san is just being Oji-san right now. You don't call Kura a former MWC 7K champion for nothing.
Yeah, more of these long note sections that will definitely be much more painful to manage. And there's the first drop by Kura after so long in the long section there.
Pretty characteristic drop from Oji-san in my opinion, but regardless of what happens, like the lead is just stretching towards their end all because that New Zealand has been trading the drops that Kura has been making over the past few moments.
It's just that accuracy doesn't really that much different. It's just consecutive distance, or I guess more of a combo breaks than it, which is really what helping Philippines to keep their momentum going.
There you go, Team PH will be at match point. This does mean that New Zealand will have to score 3 consecutive points to force this to go the distance.
This will have to go with core stream or core jacks here for New Zealand. I do not see anything pick outside of those two rice picks, but that will be an answer for the Philippines as well, since Philippines will still have long note and the last hybrid remaining in the pool.
Okay, so I presume New Zealand should be going for rice 3, I think. Might be the safer one to go for.
It's just in between core jacks and core stream. Whether or not they decide to go for it, it's just whatever they feel more comfortable with standing with the density. Kojak it
And they're
is.
going for Kojak. It is. So I'm pretty sure Worms and Robies are going to be coming in here for New Zealand as what the Rice team has always been the entire way through.
And yeah, as another note for Korjak's part, be prepared to get absolutely blasted with funny scores on Korjak's. But either you get that, or just you get like ungodly amounts of ratio in the score judgment there. It's just no in between.
Okay, it's like in terms of you cannot. Like, I think this is the equivalent to what we saw from Inverse. You can or you cannot. Thankfully, for a lot of the people in this roster, it's sort of a you can.
You can, but it's just either you stick with the metronome or you just stick with the reading aspect. You do not maybe care a little bit in terms of accuracy, but at least combo matters in a lot of context. But at the very least, at least on the winners bracket, on the top half of the seeding, they should be fine on this. Oh, there's a 2-200s actually by Shadowcon on the intro. Kind of weirdly enough, even without we getting to the Korjak stuff.
Yeah, that's the only concerning thing really with having Shadowcon and these Rice picks. The accuracy, Shadowcon's accuracy hasn't exactly been showing up very well.
Oh, there's the first drop.
Even last week.
Yeah, you can clearly see. Oh wow, that's a lot of drops on the Shadowcon side there. That's already 3,000 points. That's even after the opening.
Okay, Worms finding a combo break.
1 against 2 drops in particular.
But the accuracy difference between Shadowcon and Worms is still pretty big. Like it's almost a full percent. Like you'd need a major breakdown for New Zealand for them to concede this lead.
Yeah, at this point, if you can look every single error bars in here, New Zealand's have much tighter error bars, and that is clearly what helping them to set the metronome here. While on the Philippines side, yeah, they do have Arquid that has like competing accuracy. It's just Shadowcon is hitting all over the place, but there's the one drop from Roby segment. It might help, but the accuracy is still much farther ahead.
And this is the final quarter of the chart. The Jacks get a bit more abrasive. Once the density really kicks in, Shadowcon finding a drop, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty much it. Unless if for some reason New Zealand finds a big rush, but their metronome has been pretty impeccable.
Yeah, there's still one drop, but that's only that one drop. That's just what really literally Korjak is. You miss a lot, and you might have 50s in some between, but the accuracy is still staying intact. There's not that much of the map left to be salvaged here for the Philippine side to take back the lead. So that's a very convincing win from New Zealand on this particular pick. So they still have at least another chance to play on the maybe one of the last Philippines pick at least.
You know, Arquin just 200 away from a V1 double S. I'm pretty sure if Arquin did have like a good supporting score, this could have gone a different way, but props here for New Zealand taking advantage of their accuracy really for this one.
It really is a Korjak score just by looking at those judgment blows. There are more 50s than actual 200s, and there are more misses than actual 200s. That's just what it is. It's just you can clearly see that even in the next rounds, the Korjak are getting denser or even faster in some ways, and that's gonna be the thing.
Okay, now Team PH is going for No Night More Soul, which honestly is their best pick. And considering this is their final pick of the match as well, if if I am not mistaken. They might as well go for this.
They should be particularly fine with that. Even like we see it already in first start. This is just easier to manage for most of the teams.
So now we're going to be seeing Koyu, which I'm pretty sure was supposed to be the one who played LN1 earlier.
Yeah, so yeah, Sunny coming back in, which is no surprise at all, since most of the long load and the hybrid picks, apart from Coffee Thoughts, this should be fairly kind of a breeze for Sunny anyway. At least in terms of difficulty, it should not having that much of an issue.
Anyways, 2-minute pick. It's a relatively short one. Any misses might prove fatal here.
Alright,
And
we
here we
should
go.
see. Yeah, I guess the first time show, not exactly the first time showing in the for Koyu there for long as since they did not play the inverse chart early, and like another
Oh,
disconnect.
not
I think?
again.
That should be the board again, but I'm not sure.
Let's see what the decision here is from
That is
our
going to be a
staff.
board as well, I think. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what
that's pretty
happened.
unfortunate. That's actually unfortunate.
It's kind of strange because it's always the DC that happens just before the map even starts.
That's really unfortunate for. That's really an unfortunate disconnect, really.
Yeah, I do not know what happened in the grand scheme of things, but this is the second time this has happened, which it is what it is, but it's still very unfortunate. So Robis is now staying in instead of Koyu. It's the same roster for the inverse chart anyways.
Yep. And Robits can keep up. I mean, yeah, sure. Inverse is inverse. Like we're not gonna talk
It's a
about that
special
in this
case.
context.
It's a special
Yeah,
case.
inverse is inverse. Like this is a very different pick. So this can go differently for the most part. Anyways, mod white Shadowcon going for mirror. So for those
Hmm.
ooh,
Oh, that's a solo. I did not know
yeah.
what happened there.
Yeah, there you go. Everything synced up now. Roby's finding
We
the
should
first drop.
I mean, we should see the score difference might plummet a little bit because that's still far ahead in the combo, I feel.
And that's a full team reset. The UFAR following it up as well. And I'm pretty sure Team PH is just going really for combo for the most part because both of these players are very capable LN players for the most part. But accuracy wise, they do need to step it up a little bit because this lead is still pretty manageable if you're New Zealand.
Yeah, the UFAR score has been recovered, so the score lead is now showing what it is. It was 20,000 and that's now 12,000 because of the intro earlier.
Yeah, if for those who were paying attention, Shadowcon is hitting and releasing a tad bit earlier than they should. Roby's finding a drop, but it's a pretty clean one. It's a pretty clean drop for the most part.
Lead still not going, actually going with the Philippines since UFAR has multiple
Oh,
misses.
these brackets. Those Ellen brackets giving a bit of a trouble here for the UFAR, and that does spike the lead towards the Philippines a bit more.
Yeah, this is a quite a big booster to the Philippines lead here, and Sonny is managing. Actually, both of them are managing the full combo at the very least, so it should be not anymore. I guess
Well,
one
not anymore.
FC, only one FC remaining. That should be still within Sonny's distance in terms of comboing everything.
Yeah, Sadi has always been a pretty capable LM player the previous throughout the years that we've seen Sonic perform here in the 7K World Cup. And this is going to be another hallmark performance coming from them, as Team
Yeah,
Philippines will be picking up their 5th point and advance to the winners bracket quarterfinals. And New Zealand, unfortunately, will have to be relegated to the losers bracket next week and will have to play at most 2 matches to stay alive.
yeah, impressive
But
showing there
they
for New
show,
Zealand.
yeah, very impressive. Getting 2 points off Team PH. They have the right accuracy. I'm pretty sure whoever faces uh, New Zealand next weekend will have to take note of a few things here.
Yeah, for the Philippines here, moving on to the winners bracket still for the quarterfinals, but then again, quarterfinals we're now thinning out the herd since it's still an opponent that you face in the winners bracket still, and whoever's in the winners bracket is still really strong. So Philippines might have to think for a second that because the pools are getting harder, maybe the bigger pool size, it will kind of be a struggle, but I believe that these players should and can play at least for the later rounds. All right, so it's, I guess that was like the 5-2, and this is at least not a sweep. And New Zealand put up a great fight on their side. So, and again, like you said, we'll be relegated to the lower bracket here. We have to play 2 matches in order to survive until even on the lower bracket stage. And we have another match here coming up, at least for the next 2 hours. It's going to be Japan versus Germany here. I do believe that Japan, in particular, is a team that is, I guess more of a fan favorite to say the least, since Japan's performance it has its up and downs, but mostly up, since they're coming with a very high seeding as well on their own, since have their returning players playing back into for this tournament in particular. And yet again, I believe that would be in this particular block, that will be the only match up until the next 2 hours here, and I do think that this will be a hyped up match, since this would be the only day that has a lot of busy match going forward here. So I do believe that we're probably gonna have to take a little bit of a long break up until the next 2 hours, and in the meantime, you can still show your support for purchasing support banners here for the teams that are participating in the tournament. You can go to the banner store here and purchase quite a bit of support with the banners here for your favorite teams. And again, let me remind you that banners do open, and you can purchase multiples of them. And if the team that you are supporting happens to be the winners for the 7K World Cup 2025, you'll get to keep the banner for a little bit longer than you would normally usually would. And I do believe that would be this particular block, and we're probably gonna have to take a bit of a break for the next 2 hours. This is FIFA, and Sergio will be signing off. See you in the next 2 hours.
Ships of an alien source are approaching from the sky. Radio contact has been attempted but cannot be established. Instructions are to prepare for an attack by an unknown enemy.